What's up, guys? How you doing? Hope everyone's having a great day. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you're coming back, welcome back. Today we're doing a misinformation video. Yes, so soon. We found some more issues of misinformation. Of course, Josh Abrams is, of course, at the center of this one. Josh was out filming with Chuck Bronson and Omaha Cop Block. Now, Omaha Cop Block didn't do any misinformation in this video. It was all Josh and his new buddy, well, not new, but his buddy, Chuck Bronson, of course, had some misinformation to spread. Now, Josh's was all on Josh, but Chuck Bronson did the same thing that Furry Potato did a little while ago. Same misinformation being spread. So we're going to explore all that here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the video clip.
Open your mouth. But then again, when I say things, he puts the light. We're playing prior restraint today. Wait, we got a brighter light.
Oh, I thought that was cops. What are they doing? You a tape measure out there? On here? No, he's going to approximate. I can't approximate.
What if he can't count?
I think you're intelligent enough to approximate 150 feet.
Can you show him where it is?
Okay, back 150 feet, please. Right. From where? All right. From where? Where are you at?
Where's your incident area start, sir? Where you are?
You guys, I think you guys go ahead and go across the street. That'll be 150 feet.
No, that'll be over 150 feet.
So I've given you 150 feet, and I've given you a specific area for you to stand.
I'm just going to cross the street and go with Chuck. So they have this law in Indiana that they found, Chuck Bronson. Okay, and they call it emergency incident area. So the Lafayette cops contacted the DA and said, "Can you please help us?" And they found this old fire code that allows them to say 150 feet, what is reasonable, right? So they can actually arrest you for not standing 150 feet back. Oh, they're stealing someone's car. I wonder if they're here to tow the cops. Professional instigators and professional assholes. Process the law and hold it for ransom. I wonder if they're towing the cop's car.
I doubt that.
You don't need to send money for a shout out, Cheeto. Where's your new girl?
I got a number and all that.
Oh, you got a number and all that, boo? Okay, B.
Are we heading out?
Prior restraint, trying to stop us from recording.
It's a Bain Act violation if we were in California.
Are we leaving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you guys go. There's the video clip. As you saw, Josh was screaming out prior restraint. And then, of course, Chuck Bronson was talking about the Bain Act. Now, we already know about the Bain Act. Furry Potato was screaming about that too. We're going to explain why both of them are wrong here in a minute. But first I want to focus on what Josh said, the prior restraint. Now, before we get started with this, let's go ahead and get a definition of prior restraint. All right, so prior restraint right here says, prior restraint is when some sort of administrative system or court order stops speech from occurring. These kinds of restrictions take several forms, including court order injunctions on speech and licensing permit systems. Given a widespread use of prior restraints by the colonial British, prior restraint was expressly viewed as one of the worst forms of censorship by the founders. This stems in part from the unique nature of the restriction, which works to stop speech before it can even occur, compared to punishing it after it has been communicated. Because of this, prior restraint is only considered constitutional under particular narrow exceptions. Often, issues of prior restraint are intertwined with the freedom of the press. Prior restraint issued by a court must be narrowly tailored and burden no more speech than necessary. So right there, you can see it's prior restraint when the court or the court comes in and they decide, well, you don't need to publish that in New York Times because that's going to be bad for us. And there are a few exceptions to that rule. Security is at risk, and a couple of other things. Now let's see how that goes with the police. All right, so here we are. So the conclusion that a police officer levies unconstitutional prior restraint by destroying video recordings of her conduct is hardly a simple matter and requires a multi-step analysis. This note arrives at that conclusion by analyzing in Section A whether recording the police falls within the scope of First Amendment protection, which it does. Additionally, subsection A addresses one of the Neer versus Minnesota's exceptions to the prior restraint doctrine, guarding against incitement. Upon establishing that the right to record the police falls within First Amendment protection, Section B analyzes two distinct situations and determines that the police may impose a prior restraint in one of the two situations. Section C examines whether that prior restraint is unconstitutional by considering three possible justifications for the prior restraint. These justifications include: 1. How the reliability of video recordings would affect the reputation of the police; 2. Neer versus Minnesota's national security exception; and 3. Neer versus Minnesota's obscenity exception. Okay, so here we go. So when it comes to prior restraint in the police, it's all about when the police destroy evidence. It has nothing to do with, in the situation that Josh, of course, is referring to, the 150 feet that the officer asked him to stand away, so Josh can't get as close as he would like to the situation. That does not fall under prior restraint at all. Now let's examine the Bain Act that Furry Potato and Chuck Bronson bring up. So here we go. We're going to look at the highlight section. For violation of the Bain Act, Section 52.1, Subdivision B states that any individual whose rights have been interfered with by threats, intimidation, or coercion may institute and prosecute in his or her own name on his or her own behalf a civil action for damages, including but not limited to damages under Section 52, injunctive relief, and other appropriate equitable relief to protect the peaceable exercise or enjoyment of the rights or rights secured. Section 52 permits such relief as actual damages, statutory damages, including civil penalties, exemplary damages, and attorney's fees. So there you go. So the Bain Act, pretty much, there needs to be some sort of threats. Now, I'm pretty sure the police didn't threaten Josh and company. There's no intimidation or coercion. There's a law that says that they have to remain 150 feet away. They're not saying that they can't film. They're not impeding their filming. They're filming. So I don't know what he's talking about. And we're going to look at one more thing. All right, and here's some of the essential factual elements for the Bain Act. It says, we're going to put Josh in the name of the plaintiffs, and we're going to put in police in the name of the defendants. Okay, so Josh Abrams claims that that police intentionally interfered with or attempted to interfere with his or her civil rights by threats, intimidation, or coercion. To establish this claim, Josh Abrams must prove all of the following. 1. Causing Josh Abrams to reasonably believe that if he or she exercised his or her rights, the right to film, that the police would commit violence against him or her or his or her property, and that Josh Abrams had the apparent ability to carry out the police had the apparent ability to carry out the threats. Does that fit, guys? I'm pretty sure that doesn't fit. They never stopped Josh or anybody in there from filming. They filmed just fine. They just couldn't get as close as they wanted, and I think that's where they're a little butthurt about. All right, or that that the police acted against Josh Abrams and Josh Abrams' property to prevent him or her from exercising his or her rights, the right to film, freedom of speech, to retaliate against Josh Abrams for having exercised his or her right. Again, does that flow? I mean, does that follow what happened in that scenario? No, not at all. 2, that Josh Abrams was harmed, and that the police conduct was a substantial factor in causing Josh Abrams harm. Factor? No, not at all. He got in and walked away. All three of them got in, walked away, nothing happened. So, obviously, this doesn't fit as well. Alright, so what did we learn today? So we've learned that when Josh cries foul for prior restraint, he's absolutely wrong, because in order for it to be prior restraint involving the police, the work in question cannot have been published. Josh published that because we're on YouTube and, well, that's where we saw it, right? So that's null and void. No, there's no contest there. He will not take that to court because he would lose. His lawyer probably wouldn't even take a case like that. So he's just going to cry and hope everyone believes him and gives him, some sort of sympathy for this misinformation that he's selling. Now, in the case of Furry Potato and Chuck Bronson and their claims of the Bain Act being violated, well, Furry, there was just some cardboard up and it stopped Furry from filming. Furry yells Bain Act. Chuck Bronson, they just couldn't get as close as they wanted to the crime scene, or perhaps it was the light that was being shined on them. Again, not Bain, it wouldn't be covered under the Bain Act because they're still able to publish. I mean, it wouldn't be covered under the Bain Act because there's no coercion, there's no threat, there's no intimidation. It wouldn't fly. So, those are the two cases of misinformation in that one video and by 3 separate auditors. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you agree with how I interpreted this, or do you guys not agree? If you don't agree, let me know, and we can discuss it. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you again with another video. Peace.
I can't believe you two took that raving lunatic seriously. What do you think this is?